Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we will continue our lecture. Um, Today's topic is on escalators. As you can see here, an escalator is a conveyor that of transport for transporting people. Okay, so it is a conveyor. It is a continuous loop of something, whether it's a belt or staircase, consisting of, in this case, individual linked steps that move up or down on tracks which keep the threads horizontal. So an escalator can be also defined as a moving staircase. So the continuous moving stairway designed to transport passengers up and down short vertical distances, usually between one level to the other. So they are used around the world to move pedestrian traffic in places where elevators would be impractical. So this is because compared to elevators, escalators can handle a lot more pedestrians in any given time compared to elevators. So it is almost as if it we say does not have any waiting time in order to use it. Okay. Whereas if we use elevators, there are some waiting time involved. So principal areas of usage, usually an escalator will be practical in areas where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, such as departmental store, shopping mall, airport, transit system, convention centers, hotels, and public buildings. So a bit of historical background. So Jesse Reno produced the first working escalator. He called it an incline elevator because if we talk about the real elevator, it is totally vertical. But to put it on an angle, usually about 30 degrees, so we call it an incline elevator, and install it alongside the old iron pier at Coney Island, New York, 1896. So the escalator has been around for quite some time. Okay, so another person can install its stepless escalator. So this stepless escalator might be something we call as travelators lah, or moving walkway in Harold's Knightsbridge store. So this is a departmental store on Wednesday, 1898. So about 2 years later. Okay. So escalator equals scalar elevator. So the escalator was later redesigned by Charles C. Berger in 1897, who created the name escalator from word scala, which is Latin for steps, and elevator, okay, which is already been invented, the elevator that moves vertically up and down. Okay, in terms of traffic or pedestrian traffic movement, no other invention had more of an influence on shopping than the escalator itself. So over the past 100 years, escalators opened up a whole new world of simple means of connecting different floors because very huge departmental stores these days they would have multi-level. So if you do not install escalators or travelators, especially to reach the higher levels, it will be a hassle for customers, okay, pedestrian, to move up to the upper floors. So this will be an disadvantage for the what you call sellers, which are located at the stairs. Sorry, at the level. Let's see, at the higher levels lah. So by installing escalators, we are providing access, easy access for customers to the stores which are located at the higher level. Oh, such number of people. Okay, so a significant feature of escalators is that it is able to manipulate the movement of pedestrian traffic. Okay, so this is important, especially in areas where there's a lot of people. So, planning escalators and moving walks correctly in shopping centers, okay, trade fair centers, stores, movie theaters, and public transportation facilities is essential for the successful course of business and smooth flow of people. So, we must make sure that our escalator setup really makes it easy for people to move between one level to another. Okay, and then we would direct the movement of pedestrian, of customers, by our setup of escalators. So the benefits of escalators, they have the capacity to move large number of people in any given time. Okay, so there'll be a lot of people on the escalator moving. So there will be a lot more. Again, depend on the specification of the escalator, but usually it's a lot more than elevators. Does not have any waiting interval except during very heavy traffic. Yeah, if everybody wants to use the escalator at the same time. So yeah, there will be a bit of a traffic jam, especially near the end, the landing or the entrance of the escalator. So they can be used to guide people towards main exit or special exhibit. So we can manipulate the movement of pedestrian, whether we want them to be in an area or we want to them to see a certain part of the building. And they may be weatherproof for outdoor use. So escalator can also be set up for outdoor usage. So escalators and their cousin motors. So they are using electricity, move at 0.3 to 0.6 meter per second. Maximum angle of inclination is about 30 degrees. Sometimes can be more than that depending on the design. Modern escalators have single piece aluminium or steel steps that move on a system of track in a continuous loop. So this is the difference between escalators and travelators. Have this us to stand on the escalator, whereas so in addition to the steps, escalators also must have the moving handrails. So these handrails will keep movement of speed, and a number of factors affect the escalator design. So, including physical requirements. So, what are the requirements of the client in terms of the physical look of the escalators? Okay. Sometimes this escalator would need to blend interior design of the building. Okay. So, this is something needs to be discussed. Location. So, where are the escalators or flight of escalators need to be located? Okay, traffic patterns. So, which area of the building which is expected to have more pedestrian traffic? So, that would be the best place, might be the best place to put the escalator. Safety considerations. Okay, so escalators, safety features, and also aesthetic preferences. So these are some of other consideration: location, traffic pattern, safety, and aesthetic. Okay, so almost the same. Can also, so is it straight? Is it um a curved type of escalators? Okay, or by the arrangement. Here we have the interrupted arrangement one-way traffic, meaning that it either only goes up or goes down. So while it's inconvenient for user, the owner of store provides the advantage that due to spatial separation of the upwards and downward, customer will have to walk past specially placed merchandise display. So this is a bit of an uh, inconvenient, because if the pedestrian needs to move from the ground floor to from the first level to the third level. Okay, so it's easier to see it that way. A pedestrian would need to go through two flight of escalators. Okay, two flights of escalators, which is would take a bit more time compared to just one escalator going from level 1 to level 3. And the customer would have to walk a bit more, but the customer will be exposed to a lot more shocks, okay, in that particular area. This is a parallel interrupted arrangement, two-way traffic. So if the previous one only have one set of staircase for each level, either goes up or down, but this design has a parallel, so it has a twin set of staircases. Okay, so it can be used to either move up or down. So this arrangement used in department stores and public buildings with heavy traffic. So of course, this escalator seems to be a lot wider than the previous one because of the ability of moving up or down at the same time. When there are 3 or more escalators or moving walk, it should be possible to reverse the direction of travel. Okay, so this setup can be used for very high, for areas which have a lot of pedestrians, or areas which do not have a lot of space to put escalators at different places. Next is the crisscross continuous arrangement, two-way traffic. So this is the one that's being used most frequently. Allows customers to travel quickly to the upper floors without any waiting time, meaning without well, not really waiting time. It's like idling or walking without walking too much. Okay. So depending on how the escalators are positioned, the store fitter can open up the view onto the shop floor to stimulate customer interest in the goods of this place. So even though the customer does not need to walk as much, but he or she can still see the display. Okay, like from here, the first level. So the customer goes up to the second level, and immediately the second flight of escalator is waiting for him or her to take them upstairs. Yeah, so they goes here and immediately goes all the way up. Whereas the previous one, if customer walks from here, the first level walks up, so they have to walk this distance and then goes up the another set of escalators. So it's an annoyance maybe for customers to walk to go to the second escalator, but this can be overcome by the use of the crisscross arrangement. In terms of inclination, typically the escalator will be set for 30-degree inclination. So this provide the highest traveling comfort and maximum safety. However, the escalator can also go up to 35 degrees inclination. So this is more to efficiency because it requires less space to install that escalator and a bit more cost effective, meaning that the flight of the escalator is a bit shorter. Okay. For moving walkway or the travelators, the inclination is from 10 to 12 degrees. Okay, because yeah the moving walkways cannot go as steep as the escalators because it doesn't not have any steps. So 10 degrees is more comfortable. The lower the angle of inclination, the more it is comfortable. 12 degrees is being used for economy or limitation of space. So, so this is moving walkway with inclination. There are also moving walkway with which is totally horizontal. Uh, Either between 0 and 6 degrees inclination. Another advantage of using this moving walkway that in especially shopping malls, things like that, is that we can also use the shopping cart. Okay, on we can place it on top of these moving walkways. Where for the escalator, we cannot actually do that. So again, some principle of the escalators carrying capacity along the line of inclination and the width. So the faster the escalator is moving and the wider the steps of the escalator, the more people it can serve in any given time. Speed up to 0.45 to 0.7. Okay. So step width is between 600 to 1.2, 600 mm to 1.2 meters. So next we have a look at the parts. So these are some of the parts: truss, straight riser, handrail, balustrade, comb, complates, drive unit, protective devices. So these are the components in an isometric view. We have, first of all, the top machine room and the bottom machine room. So this is just a space that provide access for the maintenance team to do repairs or maintenance work on the escalator. Here we have the control panel, the drive unit, or the motor, the electric motor, the drive chain that moves the steps, and the sprocket. And then next we have, let's see, the truss. The truss is basically the backbone of the escalator. It can be a set of I-beams, either from, usually from steel, because steel is a strong material. So it's the backbone of the escalator. Next, we have other truss parts like the tracks, main tracks and the trailing tracks. So we'll go into that in a bit. And then the moving handrail unit. So this is where we locate the handrail and the bottom sprocket. Then we have the balustrade. Balustrade, here we have the handrail, the interior panel that holds up the handrail, the deck board between, let's say, the deck board of the balustrade and the skirt guard. Okay, between the moving steps and the stationary balustrade. And then we have other features such as operating panel. We can start and stop the escalator, the inlet guard. And then in terms of the steps itself, we have the tread, the riser, step demarcation line, which is usually we see in yellow, driving roller and the trailing roller, which moves at the main track or traveling track, and of course the chain, the step chain. So this is another isometric view of the components. So the truss is a hollow metal structure that bridges the lower and upper landing, composed of two side sections joined together with cross braces. Okay. Across the bottom and just below the top, the ends of the truss are attached to the top and bottom landing platform with a steel or concrete support. So this is the structural support, either from steel or concrete. Okay. And then we have the zigzag pattern that provides strength to the escalator. Then, of course, the steps. So it's either aluminium or steel. So if it's aluminium, it's lighter compared to steel, but still lasts. People know where the steps actually are. Okay. Okay, again, this is the support. So for larger escalator, the support would be a lot longer, which is not ideal because it would tend to vibrate. So to overcome that, usually at the middle of the truss, they would put in another support, okay, which is attached to the structure. Either it's from concrete or steel. Okay, so it either can be a cantilevered beam if the escalator is too high, or a column. Okay, if the escalator is near to the floor or beam. Okay, this is the tread and riser. Okay, you can see the roller here. Okay, landing platforms. Each of the escalator would have two of these. We have these two platforms house the curved section of the tracks. This is where the tracks uh, turns to the opposite direction. So as well as the gears and the motors that drive the stairs. The top platform contains motor assembly, main drive gear, while the bottom holds the step return idler sprocket. So there's only one of this platform which is powered by electric motor. The other one is just a sprocket that returns the step upwards. And then we have the floor plate. This is the floor plate. It's just before we step to the steps. Provides a place for passengers to stand before they step in onto the moving stairs. Okay, and then we have the details of handrail here. Provides a handhold for passengers while they are riding the escalator. So of course, some of the users would need to hold on to something as they transition from a stationary position to a moving position on the escalator, as well as while they are moving along the escalator. So some people needs to hold on to something. So this is the purpose of the moving handrail. So the handrail must be moving at the same rate or as the steps itself. Then the balustrade consists of handrail and the exterior supporting structure of the escalator. So it's the escalator is the exterior components standing above the step. So it's above the step, just like a typical ladder. Okay. And it supports the handrail. So either a low deck or an interior high deck. So another photo of the handrail and the balustrade. Okay. Next, in terms of tracks, for escalators, usually they would have two sets of steps. So the track system is built into the truss to guide the step chain. Continuously pulls the step from the bottom platform back to the top platform in an endless loop. So it is always moving. Okay, so where the top part of the escalator is where people would step on it, where the bottom part is where the step returns to the original position. So there are actually two tracks, the one for the front wheels of the steps This is called the step wheel track. Okay. And one more for the back wheel, called the trailer wheel track. So by having relative positions of this track cause the step to form a staircase. So by the what you call by having a two tracks, we are able to flatten the steps and then make the steps appear during the climb. Okay, so these are some examples of the um, electric motor, the drive chain, safety cautions. Okay, so this is a big concern because yeah, there are a lot of these escalator accidents due to mechanical failure and also due to the pedestrians themselves who are not using the escalators properly. So accidents can occur due to loose scarf, shoestring, or other articles of clothing become stuck. Okay, in the escalator. Okay, and then for children also can be dangerous. So the use of escalator by children needs to be supervised by an adult. Okay, safety tips. All right, so these are some of the protective devices. Handrail inlet protective devices. Okay, so this is to eject the user's hand if they somehow got stuck at the moving handrail. So this device would eject their hands and basically prevent it from getting sucked into the inner workings of the uh, escalators. Okay. And then skirt guard protective devices. Let me see if we have here. Okay. So these are the skirt guard. Okay. Uh, for what it says to protect people's article of clothing from getting stuck, especially between the moving steps and the stationary sides of the escalator. And then we have this yellow demarcation line to assist users to stand within the boundary of the line. Then emergency stop button, overload protective device. So this is the emergency stop button, usually found at the bottom part of the escalator handrail. So we can press this button to immediately stop the movement of the escalator. Okay. And then, sorry. Overload protective devices. This is to basically a sensor for the escalator motor. Okay, so if it detects there's an overload in terms of the weight of the passengers, okay, it will immediately stop the movement of the escalator. And then we have comb plates. So comb plates is being installed between the landing and the moving steps to provide footing to prevent anything from becoming trapped between the moving treadway and the stationary landing. So obviously there will be a gap, a small gap between the landing and the steps. So we don't want people's foot to get stuck in there. So install it with comb plates. So this comb plate will automatically eject the user's feet from the steps onto the landing. And then obviously fire prevention. The fire risk involved with escalators is about the same as a fire risk involved with staircases, because the area where these escalators are usually would have a direct vertical connection. So this is something which, if there's any fire happening, would allow fire to move upwards relatively quickly. So we want to prevent that. So in an area where there's installation of escalators, we would install fire prevention system that will make it harder for fire to move upwards through this vertical access near the escalators. So we have a water curtain sprinkler unit. So this would provide a layer of water, okay, sprinkle water that would make it harder for fire to penetrate to. And then individual sprinkler, usually we can see that being installed below the escalator itself. And then escalator hall, this is a special hall. If we're talking about staircases, we have the stairwell. So this stairwell is protected against fire, but we can't put escalator in a stairwell. So they have a special hall where we install these escalators, and this hall is protected, okay, with from spread of fire. And we also have sliding partition, some sort of partition, not only for fire safety but also for the safety of the users. So we don't want them, to fall over the sides of the escalators and hurting themselves. So we might want to install a partition, usually at the sides of the escalator. Okay, so with that we have covered, okay, in terms of escalators and a bit of travelator. Okay, so I hope that would assist you in this topic. Okay, inshallah we will continue with other topics next week. Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.